build it, he will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cow.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cow with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
Good Paul Jones Drug Tuesday out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM. The Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. Got a bunch of golf going on. Some professional golf, college golf. We can talk about getting started today on the college side, and then one of a local guy that is really about to make it big and be a PGA Tour member. Weatherford's Quade Cummins has played so well on the Korn Ferry Tour so far this year. I'm not going to say he has completely wrapped up his tour card because there's still a ways to go in the Korn Ferry Tour season, but he has played fantastic golf and has himself in wonderful shape to be able to be on the tour for next season. Something happened. We've been kind of focusing on the Thunder and the run and the playoffs. Something happened in the high school sporting world last week, maybe middle of last week into last week, that we knew was coming. Wasn't exactly sure what it would be. But for high school football, districts have changed from what we thought they were going to be just a couple of months ago. So what has changed? For 4A1, obviously, is a big focus for us because of the three schools down I-40. Woodward's a consideration there as well. So is it good or bad as far as the competition? And then the small schools, where did they end up? With the creation of divisions in 2A, A, and Class B, where did everybody end up? One very, very notable difference in Class B that will be very interesting to see what transpires there. Then also NHL and the NBA conference finals are set after last night's Game 7 in the NHL. We'll just kind of talk about those things, compare and contrast those, and I sort of mentioned it yesterday in the NBA, at least, the possibility of Indianapolis and Minneapolis being the two cities hosting the NBA Finals. This will be the sixth straight year the NBA have a different champion. That hasn't been the case since like the mid '70s, right up until Bird and Magic got into the league, and then all of a sudden it was Lakers Celtics. Is that good? Is that a good thing for the league, or is that a bad thing for the league? 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. That is 225-9698. Give us a call, shoot us a text. We can talk about any of those things. Whatever else might be on your mind, feel free to chime right in at 225-9698. Just, I'm going to tell you right now, I left my phone at the house, so if you're texting me and wondering why I'm not answering, I don't have my phone right this second. I have to go get it here in just a little bit. But that's all the more reason to text the text line, 225-9698. If you're going to be outside the listening area, a couple ways to stay in touch with the show. Log on to kadsam.com or download the app. Paragon app is free, and it's got everything. It has got radio. It's got the Penny News. A brand new edition of that Penny News will hit the website tonight at midnight, thepennynews.com. You can be the first to check out the free deals right there at midnight. And also, of course, Big Elk and Paragon TV, both in there for high school sports when it's the high school sports season. And then I've got the Skinny on Sports podcast. If you missed our show entirely, you can go back and find that anywhere where podcasts are available. Morning, Jared.
Morning.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. We've made a big dent yesterday in getting our pool summer ready. This kind of the unofficial start of summer.
That's right.
Coming up this weekend with Memorial Day. And thinking about, okay, it's going to be nice. Looks like the weather's going to be really nice, warming up the water. So we need to be sure and get that thing crystal clear and ready for little swimmers that might be coming over.
Good deal.
Throughout the weekend process. So that's what I did last night.
Good deal.
I didn't get to watch a bunch of the hockey. I watched a little bit of the final like 3 or 4 minutes of the hockey game with Edmonton and Vancouver. May not have even been that. It may have been more like 2 minutes. I checked the score early. Nothing. Then all of a sudden, Edmonton went nuts in the second period with 3 goals, and I thought, well, that's cool. I personally think it's cool that Edmonton is back because when I was a kid, I remember Wayne Gretzky, obviously, and a lot of those guys. And Edmonton was probably the Oilers were the first hockey team I knew about, and they've been through a bit of a dry spell here, even though they've got Connor McDavid, and he's one of those guys that needs to be. You know what he feels like to me, Connor McDavid, in a lot of ways.
No. What?
The Mike Trout of hockey.
Really good. No.
People ought to know more about him.
Yeah.
Although
he's made the playoffs.
He's made the playoffs.
Mike Trout.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But at the same time, he's never really got on the biggest of the big stages.
Uh-huh.
And now here we go, and he's in the Final Four. So I think that'll come a little bit more to the consciousness of sports fans in America.
Yeah, I've always gravitated towards Edmonton when the Barons were here, because the Barons were that feeder team to Edmonton, that AAA affiliate. And I didn't have any team I rooted for in hockey, so I just kind of – and then even after the Barons left, I kind of still stayed with Edmonton. I'm not calling myself a fanatic Oiler fan, but when they're on, I would watch them. And it's cool to watch them. That was a fun game last night. I had it on too. Fun first period, nothing happened. Second period, they went crazy, and then Vancouver making that comeback. That was cool. Yeah, man, it's fun to watch Stanley Cup hockey, playoff hockey, when you don't really have when you can just be a fan and not have to stress over who wins or loses. Like I said, I liked Edmonton. I'll root for them, but I'm not crying in my pillow at night if they were to have lost last night. I would still watch more hockey afterwards. So it was fun.
It's about a perfect one for me because you do have the connection to Oklahoma City with the Barons in Edmonton. And then you've got the proximity of Dallas, which has always been, the Mike Modano, Brett Hull days of hoisting the cup way back in 99. And so that's always been one just because of by far the closest hockey team to where we live. There's always been a certain gravitational pull toward them just because of the proximity. So, at this point for me, whoever comes out of that western side of it, it's all cool. And then who doesn't want to see somebody play the Rangers?
Oh, the Rangers, if they get to the finals, that would be massive. We talked about how massive it would be for the Knicks to make the finals. It's just as equal to, if not maybe more, for the Rangers to make the finals.
The
city would be electric.
In 94, both were in the finals. If you remember that, the Knicks and the Rangers playing. Yeah. And gosh, it
great
broke.
30 for 30 kind of covered
it is.
that.
Yeah, the OJ one.
Yeah.
It just happens to be kind of intertwined with it.
On that same day, what was that, June 6th?
June 17th or something like that.
Yeah.
June 7th night. June 7th. That's I can't remember. I think it's June 16th or 7th.
I'll remember what it's called on that very day because they'll play it on ESPN that night, I bet.
Yeah, and that year it snapped a massive I think it's June 16th.
17th.
17th.
June
okay.
17th.
June 17th, 1994 is the name. It's the name of it. What was the Rangers hadn't won the cup in 50 years or something like that? It's been a while since I've seen that one.
Yeah.
But here's what's crazy. That doesn't seem like that long ago. The Rangers hadn't won it in 30 years now. All the way back to then.
That's right. That is right. Was it Marc Messier, that famous picture of him? He's a commentator. I saw him on during last night's game.
54 years. The Rangers hadn't won the Stanley Cup since 1940 back then.
Oh, wow.
And they won it in 94. And now it's been another 30 years.
Dry spell.
Until now. So we'll see if they're able to win. I got some questions about this. I'm glad we started here. Because with both the NBA conference finals and the NHL conference finals. 4 series left between the two of them, or this round between the two of them. Which one do you like the best? Which one intrigues you the most?
Man, it's so close because I guess it's fresh on my mind that what we just talked about, Edmonton and Dallas. That looks like a lot of fun. Boston and Indianapolis or Indiana doesn't. Come on, it doesn't really do anything for me. I think Boston's just kind of a team of destiny at this point, and the other one's a little intriguing with the Mavs and T-Wolves. That one I think can go pretty deep and could be entertaining, but for everything we've talked about with not being engaged, like if I'm watching the Mavs and T-Wolves, I'm going to be rooting hard for the T-Wolves because I'm bitter about the Mavs beating out my Thunder, right? And then I just mentioned how I felt about Boston. I think New York Rangers, who's it, Carolina on the other one?
Florida,
excuse me. I think Rangers would. I mean, I'm no hockey expert, but they too look like a team that they could get to the finals. But this Edmonton Dallas matchup, because like you said, the proximity, there might be some Stars fans around here. There might be some Oiler fans around here for reasons like I gave you for when the Barons were here. It could be just a little bit more interesting for me. It could be a lot of fun. So that one, and then the matchup itself, I think looks really even.
Yeah, it's fun. It's two of the more fun teams.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can really say that about anybody on the NBA side. Indiana, the problem for Indiana is they score a bunch of points, and they are fun to watch. But going into this, you give them, 0 chance? Maybe not quite 0, but that would be the most shocking result in any of these 4 series, right? If Indiana makes it to the NBA Finals?
I'd say so.
I mean,
yeah.
No
Hockey is...
no Porzingis the first 2 games could possibly help them, but Boston has just seemed so dominant when they've wanted to be, and I just feel like Indiana probably shouldn't be there except for a lame duck Knicks team that ended up with basically nobody healthy by the time it was over. I know hockey fans were really looking forward to the possibility of a Rangers-Bruins, another New York-Boston series that didn't transpire because of the way Florida played against Boston. So both sides, it's kind of weird how that worked out this time with the NHL and the NBA both looking forward to New York and Boston series that just didn't quite make by the time we got to the conference finals. I think it's Edmonton and Dallas for sure. If you watched hockey at all, man, Dallas in that last round, they kind of escape out of the Vegas series after losing the first 2 games at home. It reminiscent of what happened with Denver on the NBA side, except for Dallas finished it at home, whereas Denver lost Game 7 on their home floor the other night. But that series in that first round was really similar to that. Then, the Avalanche, Dallas was just, man, if you watched very many of those games, Game 3 and Game 4, it was like, this is almost a perfect game that they're playing. Did lose Game 5 at home and then went out on the road and won Game 6. And there they are now, been waiting for a little bit on who to play. But if you watched them much, they played really, really well in that last series. And in Edmonton getting through, I think that sets up to be great. Is there a final in either the NHL or the NBA that you would really hope to see and would be really looking forward to?
And that I'd shift to the NBA. I would want to see Timberwolves and Celtics. I'd like to see that defense of Minnesota versus that Boston offense. That one is one I'd want to see.
Yeah, the intrigue of the Rangers is there for me, no matter who wins in the West. But Boston playing either one, I almost don't care because you're right. It's the defense and the size of Minnesota, or if it's the Mavs, we get Kyrie going back to Boston. Neither.
There's a storyline there.
That's right. Neither one of those bother me. I as much as Luka frustrated the crap out of me during that series, I really don't have that. God, I hope they lose. I don't care Because watching Minnesota, they've irritated me from afar. Just the way that they kind of act and the brashness that's so much different than what we see in Oklahoma City. It's like, so I really don't. I guess I don't really have a villain in the West. They both kind of are. So whoever wins, that's fine. Go play Boston and either of the storylines. I would be really intrigued to see what would happen if Kyrie went back. In a lot of ways, I don't.
Well,
know
I think you get booed in game 1, and that'd be the end of it.
And then Porzingis would come back to Dallas.
Yeah, that's true.
There would be that happening too.
Yeah. No,
look, Kara wants to be on the radio.
Oh, she brought your phone.
Thank
Look
you.
Now that's a good
We
wife.
love you. We love you. Thank you. Love you.
Was that her honking out there, wanting you to wrap things up and come out and get it? I could hear someone honking outside.
Well, that wasn't going to work.
She was honking the horn. I'm here. Well, she actually texted me. I didn't look what it was. The connection is. Oh well, we can't do anything about that. So the connection is fuzzy.
Oh, that's kind of somebody else's deal.
Yeah, it's a tower thing.
Tower.
I blame the Northern Lights from a few nights ago.
I wonder.
By the way, true hockey fans hate the Dallas Stars. They always call them the North Stars.
The Minnesota North Stars.
Yeah, we had dinner with a friend last night, and we were talking. He I don't want to say where he works, but he has hired hands and stuff, and they're like from the Minnesota North area, and said they're big hockey fans. We're kind of watching the game together. He said, I made the mistake. I called them the Dallas Stars, and they all kind of stopped and stared at me. He said, no, it's the North Stars. It's the North Stars, bro.
So let me tell the Minnesotans they got the Wild now. Just quit being bitter.
They're just like, well,
it's okay, Seattle.
I'm sure it's just like Seattle.
So will Seattle finally let it go when they get a team?
Probably not.
Or they still call the Thunder the
They
Supersonics?
probably, speaking not letting it go, they'll probably never go to the games because they're too busy.
They didn't before.
Being hippies.
Maybe hanging out in the Chaz.
It's exactly.
Is that what it is called?
Exactly.
The Chaz.
Isn't that where they're going to build an arena?
From those years ago. You know what's going to be the most exciting part, the possibility at least, for the Thunder when those expansion teams do come to Vegas and to Seattle? Have you put any thought to this? What would be the most exciting part about the Thunder part of this?
I'm sorry, repeat the question. What's it going to
What would be the most exciting part for the Thunder about Seattle and Vegas joining the league with expansion teams?
Besides going to Vegas, I don't know.
The opportunity, and I don't think it's going to be them. I think it's going to be Minnesota and Memphis. But the opportunity to possibly be in the East.
Oh, yeah.
That way you get the 6 o'clock tee time for the playoff games instead of the 8:30 one.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Memphis would get that nod.
I think it's going to have to be 2.
Yeah, and Minnesota.
And probably Minnesota.
A little bit further
just a little
east,
further
I
east.
Think.
Yeah. I think
but
that's
not
who
like divisions really matter anymore. They're almost kind of just bragging rights.
Yeah, but it's going to be.
But
it's going to be the old Southwest Conference for the Thunder.
Good.
Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, I'm sure.
I like that. That makes more sense. I wondered a long time ago when the Thunder came here if they would redo divisions, and of course they didn't. But that's a good question.
You'd have those. Seattle would join Portland. Denver? Would they move Golden State north? Then slide Vegas into the LA, Phoenix group?
Probably. I mean, you get that Southern California,
Arizona,
and then that makes more sense. When's that all happening?
I don't know.
No date on that yet?
Maybe they got to clean up the Chaz so they can start an arena up there. Anyway.
It's simple. Just get some fire hoses and just clean the streets.
Burn it down.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good thing? So this is going to be the 6th straight year that the NBA is going to have a different champion no matter who wins it. Do you think that's a good? Do you think if you're sitting in the ivory tower of ABC, ESPN as an executive, do you think that's a good thing?
Well, they'll look at it as not. And not just them. I mean, merchandise vendors or fanatics, they'd love to have a. I mean, just look at Golden State and when they went on their run and how many kids gravitated to Curry and Golden State. You saw jerseys around here and hats and all that stuff. And if there's not repeat champions, you don't get that. But I personally love it because it just tells. I mean, I love parody. I love the idea of, okay, next year it could be us. There hasn't been a repeat champion in now 6 years. It could be us. So we could be, it's our turn or whoever team you root for. So, but no, those TV, I think that people, those type, love dynasties.
It's really weird because, I mean, by far the biggest behemoth in TV worldwide is the NFL. And parody is what drives a lot of the NFL, I think.
Yeah, I've always said that. Yeah.
So how is it? Because there's just more people that play the game? Is it just the cities or football just accepted to be different? Because it's the exact opposite. I think you're right. In the NBA, it's like, give me the super team, the villain, and if somebody can beat them.
Right.
Give us LeBron and Steph, and we're good. Every year, and when you see kind of a year like it's going to be this year, people don't tend to watch. I think it's probably even exacerbated more for the people, the TV people in the NBA, the fact that for the first time in all those years, LeBron, Durant, Steph, they were all gone in the same time, which was early. And so maybe this is a moment to, maybe in the long run this helps for the next decade or two, or decade, let's say, because it could kind of go in those segments because of the longevity of people's careers. But maybe this will help them because, the guys that they want to see are all damn near 40. You don't realize how old they are, LeBron and Steph, and it's kind of time for the new crop of guys to take center stage. And you're seeing that, Anthony Davis is obviously one of those guys, or Anthony Edwards is one of those guys that are going to get Luka. Luka's never, he won Western Conference Finals, but it was against Steph. So, he's never kind of got to be on that stage. Obviously, the Celtics are the Celtics, as Mark said on the text line. That's one of those teams you want. I guarantee you, if it's up to the NBA, I wouldn't be shocked at all if they wouldn't mind just having Boston and the Lakers every single year in the finals. So I think you're probably going to see a hit taken at least this year
in viewership.
But I also think that it might be good in the long run that you had it all at once. With that kind of changing of the guard moment in certain ways that those older guys were done at the same time.
Why do you think we're seeing this run of no repeat champions? Is it, you mentioned the star power? Is it that something like the CBA that we're seeing more stars spread out?
I think it's that
a result of that,
and I think for the CBA part of it. You're starting to see, and it's something that you've talked about, ready for this era to be over with, and I think it clearly is. And that's those super teams, those the days of the Heatles. Mm-hmm. The CBA has kind of eliminated that,
right?
Because it costs you so much, especially as they get older. That's the one thing about the Thunder that's a little bit different than some of these teams have been put together is they only have one that's been in the league long enough, and that's obviously SGA, to really get up into that, by the time this is really rolling in a couple of years, in that $50-60 million range, whereas those other two guys are down they're just not old enough yet. You know what I mean? They're coming off they're doing their rookie extension, not their mega money extension. Mm-hmm. That's where the Thunder have a little bit of advantage if they can kind of finesse their way through this time from a money standpoint. But when you're acquiring 3 guys in the prime or late prime of their career like everybody else is doing, you see how detrimental that is to benches. And look at Phoenix. Phoenix is the perfect example. You pick up Durant and Beal to go along with Booker, and you lose everything that made that Phoenix team so good that made it, a couple of wins away from a title.
Right.
And so if you start to looking at the best teams and the way they're constructed, it's no longer 3. It's Jokic and Murray, Luka and Kyrie, Tatum and Brown. The idea in Indiana is Halliburton and Siakam.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it is, and LeBron's getting older and Steph's getting older also help, for everybody else to have a better chance. So I think in some way, I think for fans, I think fans like it. A lot of fans, because you're right. There's a lot more cities that wake up on November the 1st and go, hey, this could be our year. If, something goes right and, make a acquisition here or there, heck yeah, we might be able to make a run. Instead of waking up on November the 1st in, 2017 or 2016 going, well, season's over. Durant's with the Warriors. It's over.
Right.
Before it ever starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool that LeBron beat him last year, but they didn't have Kevin Durant. So is there even any you get to the point where after you see it for a little bit and you're like, holy crap, it's better. They're better than I even thought they might be. Man, this is fun. And then you get tired of them winning by 30 every game, and by the it gets to the finals and you're like, okay, well, why are we playing? Because ain't nobody beating them in a 7-game series. I think that's the part where the fans, but there's clearly enough of them that enjoyed that because the ratings were way higher back then than they are now. But for fans and for I think both of us would both agree, the idea of more parity in the NBA, I like. Now,
I mean, the NFL has survived even after the Patriots run was finished.
Well, NFL, there's
and now we're in the midst of a Chiefs one, but
outside of finding out that Roger Goodell was Vince McMahon and rigging the games, outside of that, the NFL's going to survive anything. You know what I mean? The only thing that could bring down the NFL is if something comes along and you go, wait a minute, these games weren't real. The outcomes were decided. That might literally be the only way that could happen because of how powerful it is right now. Basketball is not the same way. Baseball, the NFL is the only one that's like that. But yeah, parity of the NFL has worked. We'll see if it will in the NBA because it doesn't feel like anybody's set up. I mean, as much as the Thunder are set up for success, I don't think anybody's sitting there going, oh, yeah, here in 2 years they're going to win 3 in a row.
Nah.
Looks like there's stars everywhere.
Yeah.
In this time. We'll be back on the Paul Jones Drug Tuesday.
Paul Jones Drug is Elk City's most experienced compounding pharmacy, meaning they can custom make your prescription medications to your doctor's specifications, safely and effectively providing you with exactly what you need. And for your convenience, Paul Jones Drug has a drive-through pickup window as well as curbside service for testing and vaccinations and offers free local delivery. Just a couple reasons you should choose Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main Street in Elk City.
I'm Rodney Skinner with Paul Jones Drug, and I promise we provide care you can trust.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
The Skinny on Sports.
All right, welcome back. Skinny on Sports on a Paul Jones Drug Tuesday, right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. We'll tell you about Paul Jones Drug. They are the oldest compound pharmacy in Elk City. It means they got the most experience. Free local delivery, drive-through pickup, curbside testing, and vaccinations. They've also got those blister packs, which is their long-term care unit packaging. Tell you more about Paul Jones as we move along throughout the show. 809 North Main Street, right here in Elk City. Paul Jones Drug is care you could trust. Also, Jared, you know what today is?
It would be Tuesday.
What happens Tuesday at the Boomtown Grill?
Chicken fry.
$5 chicken fried steak and one side. Tuesday's special is the $5 chicken fry at Boomtown Grill. 2103 South Main in Elk City. Boomtown has 12 big screen TVs, full service bar, happy hour 2 to 6, Monday through Friday. Open 7 days a week, 11 to 10, Sunday through Thursday, and then 11 to 11 on Friday and Saturday. Go check out that Tuesday special at the Boomtown Grill. That $5 chicken fry will be marvelous, I can assure you. All right, so something that kind of slipped through the cracks as we were focusing on Thunder and in the playoff run. We mentioned it a couple of times, the lawsuit that was filed by the private schools to basically get a stay of the new rules. I can't remember. Was it Rule 8?
I think so.
It was changing the landscape of high school football and districts, and it was right now you can only move up one class. You can start moving up 2 classes. You start going up all the way up to 6A2s as far as some of the private schools could go. So they filed the lawsuit. It's basically like an injunction, I would say, or appeal, type of thing. Mm-hmm. So a couple weeks ago, it paused everything that the OSSA was trying to implement. So now, after seeing districts released a couple months ago, everything had to be reconfigured back to how it would have been before the rule change. And that has changed a whole bunch of things all across the state of Oklahoma. In 4A1, the original district was going to be Cache, Classen, Clinton, Chickasha, Elk City, Heritage Hall, Newcastle, and Weatherford. Which, when you look at what those 8 teams have been doing over the last handful of years, that was going to be one of the hardest districts in the state of Oklahoma. There was going to be a team that was team or two maybe that was pretty darn good that wasn't going to make the playoffs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said if you got in as a 4th place team, hang a banner.
That was, with the success of a lot of those teams, that was going to be an immensely difficult district. Well, since this ruling has come down, that district is no longer. For one, Heritage Hall does not have to bump up to 4A. Number 2, Newcastle bumps to 5A. And number 3, a team that we didn't even mention in the original district is back, and that's Woodward, because they don't get the life balloon of getting to go down to 3A because they've struggled over the last couple of years. So the new district will be Bridge Creek, Cache, Clinton, Douglas, Elgin, Elk City, Weatherford, and Woodward. It's not even in the same atmosphere, the same stratosphere as far as difficulty as the original. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%, yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's still good – let's not kid ourselves. There's still some good teams. Elgin had a great year.
Yeah, that's the one thing about –
time in 5A, and they're back down in 4A. And, we know about Weatherford. We know about Clinton. You never know about Cache. Sometimes they could be up. Sometimes they could be down. It's still a formidable district, but, yeah, much more another thing, too, is it's a lot of teams that we're very familiar with. I think this has been a district before, if I'm not mistaken, years ago.
Yeah, Bridge Creek, maybe slip Bridge Creek out of there, put Chickasha in,
right.
Yeah. But, yeah, there's no doubt. Outside of Bridge Creek and Douglas, everybody else on the schedule for anybody is going to be really, really familiar with Elgin back into 4A. And if you're right, if nobody was really kind of paying attention to what the Owls did, the Owls were a very good team in 5A. I think it's going to be interesting in the bigger schools, and I think maybe down to 3A, but for sure in 4A. how these schools decide to manage the numbers with accepting transfers and that kind of thing. With the new transfer portal opening, how much attention does everybody pay? How much attention do they pay to the numbers? For instance, I would imagine if you're Elgin, over the last 2 years with the quality of your football team, you may be thinking to yourself, damn, if we'd been at 4A, we probably would have won it. Or we'd have had a better chance than what it ended up having in 5A.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You look at the numbers, the ADM numbers. Elgin is at the top of the list in 4A, 785.93, which was big enough to put them into 5A. They would have been the smallest 5A school except for the fact that McGinnis had to bump.
Right.
So if you look at Elgin, Glenpool, Blanchard, some of those schools at the very, very top of the list, you wonder how much they pay attention to it, and if there is the thought to themselves, you know what, is that couple kids worth the risk of bumping us up an entire class? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if people look at it like that or not. I think it'd be interesting to see. Another change that has happened is the creations of divisions in 2A, A, and Class B. We've already seen this happen in 6A, where they created the 6A1 and 6A2, and basically all that does is the biggest 16 6A schools are in Division A or Division 1, and the second 16 are in Division 2. Well, that's what they've done in 2A, A, and B, except for it's 32 instead of 16. So 2A1 and 2A2 both have 32 teams in it, just like 4A, 3A always have. That's created something very interesting to me in Class B. For how many decades now? 2 decades. When we went into the season, you probably on a lot of years, you thought to yourself, all right, who's going to be, Laverne or Shattuck?
Oh, yeah.
Guess what?
Well, now
it can be Laverne and Shattuck because Laverne is Class B Division 1. Shattuck is Class B Division 2. Surely they'll still play non-district, won't they?
Here's what I hope happens. If they both win it, then they decide, hey, let's just get
go play
together
again.
and play again. Let's just go meet at Alva and let's just hash it out.
Go have one.
Yeah. We could both keep our trophies. This is just for bragging rights. That's what I hope happens. I bet they do play in non-district. I bet you it'd be great, like the first game of the year, right out of the gate.
Yeah, I would bet they probably will. Get some shade thrown at Wagner about the numbers. Yeah, they're way down. They don't have to. They're not worried about managing them at the moment. But I get it. I know exactly what everybody's saying. Continue to manage. I think it's going to happen, and then you start looking at like if you're 2A, A, B. A couple more students. Now we're in Division 1 versus Division 2. I mean, I haven't totally looked at it as far as if there is one that you'd rather be in with as far as historical, play by one or the other. I know that if you're like staying down in Class B, if you're a team like, let's say, Hollis is in Division 1, but think about the difference in their district. They went from having Laverne, Shattuck, Balco's been good, Turpin's been good over these last couple of years since Hollis has gotten themselves back into the, back where they wanted to be. So they go from that district to now slipping down into District 2 because you lose you lose Sealing and Shattuck down in Division 2 instead of Division 1. Hollis's district looks way different, and I would say way more favorable, with Burns Flat, Central Ohio, Marlow, Empire, Snyder, and Waurika. Those names aren't the same as Shattuck, Laverne, Terp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that I would imagine that those folks are pretty happy about that, considering what it was to what it is now. In Class A, Division 1, Merritt and Sayre, very similar as far as the district. Thomas not there because they're down in Division 2, which I think that probably Crescent joined. Cashin is there. But kind of the same usual suspects. They've been in the same district with Fairview, with Hooker. With Tonga's been in and out of it. So, the Moreland, Texoma aren't. Some of those other come in. It's similar, maybe a little bit more advantageous. Hobart and Frederick are both in Division 1 of Class A, but a different district in District 2. And then you see Division 2, Cordell, Mangum, Moreland, Southwest Covenant, Texoma, and Thomas, and Boone Apache. So there's remnants of both like Class A, District 1 and District 2 in all of that. It's swirled around and not quite the same. Do you think how much do you think it's a good idea for those smaller classes with 2A, A, and B to split up like that?
Was there a cry for it, or was it to even playing fields, or was it for way back when they split up 6A, right? And the sentiment that I kept hearing was, well, it's always Union and Jinx winning this thing. No one has a shot. And then I'm like, well, that's kind of a baby way to look at it. It's like, I just want a participation trophy, so you're going to split up the district to give someone else a shot. So in this 6A too. So I hadn't heard any of that for this. Or is it just because there's so many schools in these lower classes that it just made sense to split them up, maybe for geographical purposes?
Yeah, maybe so. In size, I mean, because you look at
that too.
You look at 6A1. The numbers aren't going to be this staggering down in the smaller classes, but in 6A1, how many students do you think there is difference between the biggest school in 6A1 and the biggest school in 6A2?
Couple thousand.
How about 4?
Wow.
So Broken Arrow, 6,059. Southmore, the largest school in 6A2, 2,048.
What is enrollment at SWAZU?
It's that, maybe.
Maybe. That's insane to me.
So the only, there's 5 schools in 6A1 with greater than 3,000 students. There's 1 school in 6A2 with greater than 2. I think as much as anything, it's obviously not going to be that pronounced a difference. But say like 2A1, 2A Division 1, largest school is Marlow at 377 students. 2A2, the largest school is Henrietta at 300. But 77, that's a number. You know what I think it is more than anything? If you split them all up and put 32 teams in there, then the playoffs run concurrent to everything else, and now they can all finish the same week. And it crowns an additional 3 state champions.
Here I go. More tickets to sell.
Well, and
more merch to sell.
Now here's the deal. Now in Class A, the largest school in Class A Division 1 is Hartshorn, 226 students. Smallest school is Woodland. Now, caveat here, Woodland chose to play 11-man. So there's 6 schools in A Division 2 that could have been 8-man schools in Class B, but they chose to play 11-man. That's Thomas, Southwest Covenant, Allen, Rush Springs, Ringling, and Woodland. So if you look at the schools that actually were going to be, by the numbers, Class A Division II, Canadian at 135 students, Hartshorn at 226. So you're looking at almost 100 different kids in Class A. That's an immense amount. The possibilities of numbers. Because think about how many times it happened to Hollis. Hell, it happened to Hollis after they won a state title in 11-man. The next year or two, they get 3 or 4 guys hurt, and they're done. Mm-hmm. How many times have we seen Burns Flat, back and forth? Merritt's been back and forth. And when you kind of ride that line of wanting to be an 11-man school but not necessarily having enough of the kids, boy, a kid or two gets hurt, and all of a sudden it gets really, really sketchy and really, really thin very quickly. But those schools chose to go up, and then Dewar, Empire, Porham, Waurika, Drumright, and Canadian chose to play. They elected to play 8-man, even though their numbers would have put them into Class A Division II. So I think there's a lot of different factors that probably went into it, choosing that. Which class do you think had the most move-ups into?
Based on the rule or the
based on the rule.
Yeah. Man, it's going to be one of the lower ones. Maybe I'll say 3A.
You're 100% correct.
Okay.
And guess what they all have in common?
You have to pay a tuition to go to them.
Bunch of halls. Holland Hall, Heritage Hall, Cascia Hall, and then Victory Christian and Lincoln Christian. So all of those schools, those 5 schools, are size of a 2A, Division I, instead are 3A. Those 5. And that doesn't surprise me at all, because the main cries you've heard about changing the rules have been from that 3A size of school, because they've been the ones that have been affected by it as much as anybody.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things that we've out here very rarely do you have to worry about as far as the bigger basically anybody, because Clinton, Weatherford, Elk City, Woodward, Altus are too big to worry about it right now with the rules in place, and then everybody else is too small to worry about it as far as football goes. So we've kind of been in that they've been in the no man's land for us, because we don't even – Kingfisher, is that the closest 3A school to us?
Yeah, I think so.
So, that's Anadarko.
Maybe
Darko.
Anadarko's probably closer. I don't know.
But what point is, it's a long ways from home, and nothing to really care about. And that could change eventually. The one thing, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, the 3A football schools can cry all they want to. And that's fine about the private schools and all that, but you have to you can search long and hard to find a school that was more affected, a team, a sport, for one school that was more affected as far as private schools entering the domain than right here in Elk City with Big Elk Golf.
Yeah.
You can search long and hard, but I think this year was only the second time in 11 or 13 years. I think it was 11. Second out of 11 years that in the state tournament the Big Elks were beaten by a public school. Just is what it is, though.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here proclaiming private or we're the public school champs. There's not a trophy for that. So get better and go win the damn thing. But if you want to cry about a year of football, I'll show you a whole bunch of years of boys golf that really the state title was changed hands because of the rules that were in place. It's just like I said, that's the way it goes. And if you're not good enough, you're not good enough, no matter who's in it. But it's been affected immensely right here in this town, for sure. It's going to be fun to see how this all works out. I'm patiently awaiting. Have you seen a schedule for the championship week yet?
I have not.
I haven't either. I would imagine outside of maybe some of the 8-man, everything else would be in Edmond.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back.
Paul Jones Drug offers a free service that makes taking your daily medications safe and easy. It's called convenience packaging, meaning they can combine all of your daily medications and put them in sealed, separate daily packages. This process replaces you from having to fill your daily medication dispenser. And as always, Paul Jones Drug prepares individual blister packaging for long-term care patients. With their drive-through window, curbside service, and free local delivery, it's just more reasons you should choose Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main Street in Elk City.
I'm Rodney Skinner with Paul Jones Drug, and I promise we provide care you can trust.
The Skinny on Sports.
Yeah, they say this guy scratches himself better than he throws a ball.
Welcome back. Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, the sports animal. Wrapping up a Tuesday edition of the show, a Paul Jones Drug Tuesday edition of the show, with also our friends at Rother Brothers. Rother Brothers on Highway 183 north of Clinton. A variety of agricultural and outdoor power equipment that is second to none. In all of Oklahoma, there isn't a friendlier or more knowledgeable staff than the one at Rother Brothers. They're happy to help you find either the perfect piece of equipment or the parts you've been looking for. Check out our products to see what we got. If you need help making a selection, call or stop on in. Always ready to help. Rother Brothers, 580-323-1981 is their phone number. Right there on Highway 183, just north of Clinton. We've got Case IH, Polaris, Great Plains, Rhino, Honda engines. I mean, they've got it all. They're at Rother Brothers, just north of Clinton on Highway 183. Also, I mentioned Paul Jones Drug. Our man Rodney and the gang at Paul Jones Drug. Care you can trust right here in the Elk City area. Convenience packaging, Jared. That's where you throw away the pill caddy. You don't have to load it up each and every week or each and every month, whatever that is. They do it for you. Just open up the package. Take your daily medication, and you're off and running. It's convenient. That's why they call it convenience packaging. They got the durable medical equipment. Most insurances are accepted. A bunch of cool gifts and greeting cards. If you still have a graduation to attend or a little bit late on the trigger for getting graduation presents or graduation cards, you can go down there at 809 North Main. That is Paul Jones Drug right here in Elk City. Okay, I was going to talk about some golf. Southwestern ladies at the Division II National Tournament starting today. Also, former Big Elk Trace Hill and his OCU Stars at the NAIA National Tournament. That's all starting today, just underway. There's awesome. not a ton to tell about that. One thing that is of note was last weekend on the golf course, Weatherford's Quade Cummins finished tied 8th in Kansas City on the Korn Ferry Tour. That has bumped him up into 5th place on the season-long points list on the Korn Ferry Tour. He is in a fantastic spot to be able to earn his PGA Tour card for next season. He's got to finish in the top 30. He's had a great year so far, and so if he can just continue to do what he's done, I mean, if he were happen to win one here between now and the end, I think that would absolutely secure his spot. I think he's probably getting decently close to being there anyhow, but a couple of more strong finishes for Quade, and it's going to be PGA Tour time for Quade Cummins. It's been just kind of a journey since he left OU. Been on the Korn Ferry Tour, was able to stay inside the top 75 the last couple of years to continue to give him the status that he needs to be able to compete each and every week that the Korn Ferry Tour is playing, and now I think he's kind of figured it out. Obviously played really well, and so that's on the horizon, hopefully, for him.
That's great. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
He just seems like he's right there on the cusp of getting up there with the PGA.
Yes.
And I'm with you. I think he'll get there.
What happened 44 years ago today, Jared?
Yes,
this is a cinematic question.
Man, I don't know if it's not within my lifetime. I usually draw a blank outside the major ones. What is it?
Oh, this is a major one.
44 years ago.
44 years ago.
You said something there that kind of maybe you said cinematic.
Yes.
So it's a movie.
A movie was released 44 years ago today.
Okay, let's think about this. The summer movie season's kicking off right about now. It wasn't Jaws, was it?
Was not Jaws.
Okay, no. So it's a movie. Is it Empire?
The Empire Strikes Back
Yep.
was released 44 years ago today. You know what the original budget was?
Oh, no. What was it?
So George,
I saw a documentary on this movie.
Yeah, so George Lucas made a deal with Fox where he kept all the rights to any of the sequels. In order to do that, though, he had to finance The Empire Strikes Back by himself. The initial budget was $18 million, which obviously came from the original Star Wars, and he took out a loan. Well, a variety of things happened, and it goes down through the story. I haven't got it. Let's see. At one point, the budget bumped up to $30.5 million. Let's see if it does it again. I can see a final with all these. Oh, geez. Anyhow, where would you rank The Empire Strikes Back on the list of all-time greatest sequels?
Top 3, top 2.
Top couple.
I'm trying to think of anything better. I can't put this on my list because I've never seen The Godfather or The Godfather Part 2.
Godfather Part 2 is the one I'm thinking about.
I've never seen them. Don't ask me why. I like good movies. I've never seen those. But I've always heard that is like the all-time best sequel.
For me, I think it's a 3-horse race, with The Godfather probably in the pole position.
Okay.
Godfather 2, this one, The Empire Strikes Back, and The Dark Knight.
Oh, that's a great one. Totally. I mean, Batman Begins was great, and he topped it with that one. Yeah, I'm on board with you on that one. Very good.
I'm not so sure, and this probably make people mad, what I'm about to say. But for me, I enjoyed Godfather 2 more than the original Godfather. I liked them, but don't get me wrong. They're both really good movies. But for me, I actually enjoyed the second one more than the first.
Cool.
Went back more in the historical of where, it was almost like a prequel instead of a sequel.
Yeah.
The way the movie
I need
was
to
made.
just sit down and watch them.
It's good stuff.
Have you heard this movie? While we're on the movie talk, have you seen the trailer for this new Kevin Costner Western?
Is this the one that he wrote a $38 million check out of his own bank account?
He's totally going all in on this. He couldn't get anybody to finance it. No movie studio would back it financially the way he wanted it. So he did his own. Basically, he could lose a lot if this movie's not successful. And it's more like I
think it caused him a divorce.
Yeah, his wife said, I don't want any part
Don't
of
you
this.
dare do this. And he did it.
And he did it. And it's actually like a 2-parter. Like the first part comes out next month, and the second part comes out towards the end of the summer.
Really?
And he loves Westerns, so he basically left Yellowstone to make this movie.
Right.
And they screened it at the film festival, in France? Cannes?
Yeah, Cannes.
Cannes, whatever. And they said it got rave reviews, so they said he got a 10-minute standing ovation, and they said that it was a good movie. I like Westerns. Who doesn't like a Kevin Costner Western? Dances with Wolves? You didn't like that one? You never liked that one? Open Range? You ever see that one?
Give me Open Range. Give me Unforgiven.
Oh, that
Give me
Unforgiven.
Tombstone.
Yeah, well, who doesn't like those? But
You know,
now I just
actually, you
kinda
know what?
wish
Don't even give me movies. Give me miniseries. Give me Lonesome Dove, and I'll
That's
just
a
move
good
on.
one. Lonesome Dove's a good one. I wonder if he'd ever do another baseball movie. It's too old.
It's funny.
Too old to be a player.
Because Costner is like the only thing you think of, or at least me, is either Western or baseball.
Yeah.
With him. You know one that I really liked? Western. What was the one? Sharon Stone and Gene Hackman. Like, oh my gosh. It was basically just like they bunch of these different. Russell Crowe was in it. It was basically like they just kind of went out in the square and, it was duels.
I don't know.
What was that called? Quick and the Dead or something like that. 3:10 to Yuma is a good one. I enjoyed that one.
That's a good one.
This is back in that one's probably a 90s movie for sure. The one with it was Sharon Stone and Gene Hackman and Russell Crowe. And I can't remember who else. Did you like Maverick?
I did. I enjoyed Maverick.
Maverick was fun.
I enjoyed Maverick. I didn't know at the time why I enjoyed Maverick until I realized when I got older was it's the same guy who made Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Made Maverick. He just took the elements of Lethal Weapon, Mel Gibson mainly, but that and just put him in the West.
Yeah, and instead of his partner being Danny Glover, it was like what's her name, Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
And then of course the twist at the end with James Garner actually being his dad.
Yeah. But Glover with the cool cameo.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I'm too old for this.
Yeah. Looking at each other.
He pulled
Don't
down,
I know you?
Pulled down his mask. That was a good cameo.
Clint Black was in there. Uncle Jesse was in there.
He got thrown off.
Uncle Jesse got thrown off from Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, yeah.
For cheating.
Right. Yeah. They threw him off the riverboat.
All right. I had a request for us to start talking about doing another ice cream taste test.
Well, there's a new one. Have you seen the new? So last summer it was the Dr. Pepper float ice cream. Now Bluebell is making A&W root beer float ice cream.
See, that I didn't know about that, but Bluebell also has a gooey butter cake ice cream that's supposed to be phenomenal.
Ooh.
Everybody have a great Tuesday.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.